towards South America, swelled by speculation and the promise of trade. When the ship foundered, the fortunes of many sank too. This was the great financial fright of the age. "But for lack of ready cash," said his father, "which the good Lord kept from my hands, you had been ruined, Frederick." The chill this produced in his son was strangely gratifying. Sir Joshua supposed it must be a feeling of piety. Wishing to enhance the sensation, next day he told of a new investment, a tragic, ill-advised investment now failing. Stepping into a shaft of sunlight, his head tilted heavenward, he declared they must accept this misfortune as God's will. Then his gaze returned to earth, and upon observing the child's look of alarm, he felt another, still more delicious tingle of pleasure. "Sir," returned Frederick, "what is the sum lost?" His father retired to his study to consider. He needn't imply they might lose their home, Deerhurst Hall, which had been in the family for generations. But a loss of, say, 10% of their total estate might bring his tingle of pleasure to a prickle. When he returned to the drawing-room, he had settled upon 12%. This produced from Frederick a wail of concern, a dropping to his knees to pray the tragedy would cease. Sir Joshua shivered with a sting of satisfaction. In the weeks that followed, the stories of imagined losses grew worse, and the man was driven to nothing short of a religious ecstasy. 30% lost, he cried. And what shall become of you, Frederick, when it is 40? You'll be received nowhere but as a stable boy. Only the good Lord will save you from poverty and certain death. Frederick fled to his bedchamber in a transport of horror, vowing to never lose his place in society, to never invest in the South Sea Company, or in whatever had lost them 30%. He would conserve his money and invest his time in people, those of influence who might adopt him and keep him afloat. Soon he had learned passion for any passion of a country squire, be it tinkering with clocks or the fox hunt of an aging libertine of the Dolman clothing empire. Both in his village of Deerhurst and in neighbouring Newbury, he disparaged the hunting for robin's eggs, the prized diversion of most boys his age. Then he declared a gentleman's opinion of their Prime Minister, Robert Walpole, whatever it might be, identical to that of his father. For this he received advice on stimulating wealth, tips on women, drink, and the game of hazard. In a similar way he performed for any ladies of quality who wished amusement. Drawing aside his small frock coat in a deep bow, he appeared in silk stockings, white as snow, velvet knee-breeches and heeled slippers glinting with hefty buckles. Still safely within the realm of childhood, he extended his head for caresses, flattering all the ladies at lunch who must otherwise have rehashed stale gossip. Loudly did he disdain all the boys he knew as cruel and undeserving of their wonderful sisters and saintly mothers. And oh, how his audience fought to hold him, admire him, and instruct him how not to do a lady wrong, how not to gamble and drink and flirt freely, before predicting how tall and handsome he would become if he took heed. Frederick Entwistle's path to success was assured. Every gentleman in the country admired him. Every lady adored him and wished him for their daughters. Whatever would be his father's financial losses, Frederick knew two things for certain. He would be knighted at 21, as was the God-given right for any future baronet, and he could make shift for himself in the world. Later that month, Sir Joshua announced Frederick was to board at Rugby School. Fully confident in his abilities, the boy packed his trunks and counted the days. Rugby, he understood, was a fine school, administered by intelligent adults keen to promote him. Upon arrival, however, he discovered it was not the instructors, but the other boys he must strive to please, must pacify and fag for, not for praise and future preferment, but merely for survival. For Frederick was each night falling victim to some good-natured pranks. Hauled from bed at midnight, dunked in a freezing pond, tossed in a blanket with orders to kiss the ceiling, and bowled down a flight of stairs. In desperation, he pleaded assistance from the fifth-form scholars, and was always first to arrive when the service bell rang. When ordered to shine shoes, a boy's ego also received a polish, until, at last, he secured a full-time protector. At Queen's College, he envisioned the day he would be called Sir Frederick.